the world is the losing team. It's the world, it's society. And I'm going to explain this, guys, because I feel as if, right? I feel as if it's like I finally can see behind the curtain. And we're all like, anyway, guys, this is going to be such a weird one. And my videos are weird right now, okay? Sorry, I've come in here looking more disheveled than usual, right? But I am going through it because I don't know. I wanted to be wrong about so much of this stuff. And I really, you know, I really wanted it to be a situation where, like, you know, we all go through things in life and then we move on to another life, right? Then I realized that the monsters are everywhere. And when I say the monsters, I want you guys to think about that in like a metaphorical sense, not in like a literal sense. Because what I'm essentially saying is, like, I've realized now that it's not that there's all these rare situations that of things that are happening in people's lives. It's that is just the world. We've just learned how to repackage poison and repackage things in a way where we don't really understand, where we all think we're all living a fake reality, essentially, right? And it's kind of ironic because I have Coke here, right? Coca-Cola. Love Coke. Which originally was what? Cocaine and wine mixed together, right? Which, again, I just think is so funny because all we have to do is package it nicely and get people into it and whatever. This is known to be like one of the most sugary, bad for you kind of drinks even now, and I'm convinced there's still some of that cocaine in here, right? But we don't, but we still drink it. We still all drink it. Why? Because it's been made to look good. It's been made to look attractive. It's nostalgic, right? It's what we're used to. It's what we do as humans. This is what we do, you guys. This is what I'm saying has been driving me insane the last, like, all year, really. All of the last, basically the entire time I've had this channel. And it's so funny how I started this channel just as I was leaving London. That's insane. Just as I was leaving London, my first video was actually, I was still in London, which is crazy to think about, right? And so I'm here putting everything together, right? Because I'm realizing that the devil, his goal, first and foremost, is to leave the children unsupervised so that he can supervise them. So now in the world, the way that we now are is everything in our lives is tailored so that us, the adults, are always so busy, focused on the things, again, that then became the things Adam and Eve were cursed to. Adam working at the sweat of the brow, Eve with the womb. I was saying to the Lord my last period, right? I was like, God, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this for the rest of my life because this whole thing of having a womb literally just takes over everything. Like I feel like the emotional, the hormonal roller coaster, right, of it all. The fact that I'm just here, impregnatable at any given moment is like, it shouldn't even, like, I'm like, God, I want to know what he was going to do if we hadn't been in this scenario. Because I just think that's insane that I'm allowed to just like walk around here and I could just, a baby popped in me in any random time is insane. But at the same time, this whole womb thing, it takes over my whole life because it's like the week before your period comes in. And now because I prayed away my period pains, now I can feel all the other things that are happening even more amplified. So I can feel my womb expanding 3 to 4 times in the days leading up. And I can feel this month it was my boobs were swelling and they never normally swell. I was like, why do my boobs swelling? Like, you know what I mean? And they feel like, it didn't feel nice. You know what I mean? And then it's the hormonal fluctuations. I'm like, is it hormones? Am I going through something? Am I this? Like, it's like taking over. And I'm just like, God, I just want to break from this womb. To be honest, I need a break. I mean, I do miss the days. And again, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I feel and I'm experiencing is because I'm not doing things the way the world's doing it. Like, I've been off birth control for like years. And why was I put on there anyway? Because when I was 16 and I was having period pains, the world and the pharmaceutical industry told me and my parent that it would be good for me to get onto the pill, contraceptive pill, which, by the way, again, it's not like you're injecting it straight in the womb, so that all those hormones are swimming around our whole bodies and affecting our minds and affecting everything. And I've seen that it's actually real and it's actually true, because even as it says that, like, women have, like, you know, fallen out of love with the person they're with and lost attraction from coming on and off birth control, the types of guys I've been interested in has changed completely. And I'm actually like, what was I thinking before is what I'm thinking now. all this womb related stuff. Then we have the working, everybody's spending so much time at work. And I'm just like, and we've now normalized it, right? Where it's like, oh, well, we have to send the kids to school, because if we don't send them to school, what else are we going to do? We have to go to work. Right. Curse of Adam. That's the curse of Adam right there. That is the curse of Adam. God just created the garden. That's why I'm obsessed with Adam and Eve. God just, and do you know the irony of this my whole obsession with Adam and Eve? Can I just actually say this as well? I'll say this at least. It was indeed because of a human man that I decided to go on this deep dive of Adam and Eve. So I can't even, I can't even take full credit for all my thinkings, because you see what I'm saying. But anyway, so, oh my gosh, yes. So I'm looking at this Adam and Eve thing, right? And I'm realizing that this is literally how we're living. We're living the curse of Adam and Eve, and that's all the devil had to do. The devil did one move. He had one move he did, and he picked the most genius move, and all he's had to do is just sit back and let everything go downhill on its own. He's like, he's going to separate us from God, right? And who's been replaced it there? Well, in the West right now, it's Mammon, the god of money, is in the place above God, right? So now there's Mammon, and we're all focused on money, right? I don't even know if Mammon is money, but I'm assuming that Mammon is money. I should do more research into that part, but the god of money regardless, right? Everything about the world and how it's running, money. Money, 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 money. Everybody's life decisions, we're making them in light of money. Oh, I would do this, but I can't because I have to work. Why do you have to work? To pay for the bills. To pay for the bills for where? For the house that you're living in. To pay for somebody else to do this. To pay for somebody else to do that. To pay for somebody else who owns your house. You don't own your house. God wanted us to be, and I say all the time, God wanted us to be the lords of our lands, but we now have landlords, right? We now have to have money. Why? So that you can go to the supermarket, so you can go and buy fruits and vegetables and things that they are now removing the seeds from. So then when you now want to decide one day when we all wake up like, oh, we should start growing things for ourselves. Oh my gosh, growing things at home is free. All those seeds that are just being thrown into these bins that you guys have, you could be making your own freaking garden, whatever. And isn't that funny how of all the things that God had created for them, it was a garden. It was like, whatever you guys need, you're going to be able to find it within each other, right? Figuratively and literally. And everything else you're going to be able to figure out with this garden. And that's all you need. Job's good and you're good to go. But no, we're the ones that had to go ahead and mess that up, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We had to go and mess that up. And how? By separating ourselves from God and then separating from each other. Because then if men and women, and I was thinking about this earlier, that it's like in society, you know how I say to you guys all the time that the way the kingdom of darkness works is opposite to the kingdom of heaven. So in the kingdom of heaven, obviously God has his way of doing a family, and there's a very specific. But then the kingdom of darkness is like, as long as you do anything but that, right? Which is basically the world of today. The world is literally godless. But then we wonder why there's these things happening. We wonder why this is happening in the industry, because it's being done on purpose. We're being destroyed on purpose. Why do you think that they have all this stuff going on in the underground tunnels? Why do you think that it's always about the kids? It's not just that people are some random weird, there's not just like, and this is what I'm saying about the devil, right? He's not just some random sick, like, obsession, although it is, because that's the nature of demons, right? It goes deeper. It's like, how do I ruin the generations ahead? Right? How do I ruin the generations ahead? You ruin the generations ahead, right? By destroying the kids, right? You poison them at the earliest stage, and then you just let them do the rest. Because you know what I realized today? I realized that every generation, whoever's like the young people of that generation, is essentially what the whole world is built around, right? Because you've got the parents going to work to look after those. They're the dependents, right? Because the children are the dependents. So they depend on others to take on the responsibility of all these other things. Like I say to you guys about me and God, you know, I'm a product of my relationship with God, right? And also my relationships that I've had, bad and good, throughout my life. Hence why it's a bit of the ghetto around here, right? So I realized something, like, because I was thinking about the entertainment industry, right? And I was thinking to myself that, isn't it crazy how everything is always targeted at the kids. Every new thing is always targeted at the children. So like when what am I trying to say here? I'm getting so many thoughts in my head, and my head hurts as well. And I feel emotional. I feel really emotional as well, you know, about all of this, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually alive right now. Like, this is actually hell. I'm actually in hell. I'm here already. Oh, thank God I get to leave. But you know what I mean? But anyway, I was thinking, right, first of all, when they created the iPhone, right? So this iPhone thing is one of the biggest, worst things to happen. And you know what made me really upset about this the other day? You know that girl, whatever her name is, Lily Phillips, the one who was like, I'm going to sleep with 100 guys in 24 hours. And then now she wanted to do 1,000. And then now she wanted to do 1,000 and whatever, right? Do you know what was really sad that I realized when I was listening to her talking in some interview? Is the fact that she said that the reason why she thinks this is fine and is because of her watching adult content on her mobile device since she was 11 years old, which is, again, something that's a lot more like when you talk about youth, more relevant to younger generations than older ones, because a lot of older generations, you guys didn't have technology. And these things weren't as like accessible. You know what I mean? Maybe you had a magazine or you go to the whatever section in the Blockbuster, but you didn't just have one, you weren't just one Google search away from a whole catalog of whatever you can possibly imagine, right? So that's another issue, because then it's them same devices, right? So anyway, when she said that, that broke my heart, because it made me realize that as far as she's concerned, it's like what I say to you guys about me and trying to teach like kids once they get to about 16. They're so stuck in their ways. It's kind of like the same with becoming an adult. People get so stuck in their ways that you have so much deprogramming that would have to be done for there to be an actual change. Like, one conversation is not going to help that girl, right? Not to mention the fact that her parents, her mum even manages her thing, her dad's friends even subscribe to her OnlyFans. So at what point does anybody think having one conversation is going to make a difference when she's got this whole like literal, what's the word I'm looking for? Scaffolding of another way of thinking in her mind, you know? And that's, again, the generation that I'm in. It's sad. Like, this freaking Bonnie Blue girl talking about barely legal. I'm gonna go find the guys who are barely legal. And how are they on their devices? Well, because how did they get them? Because their parents bought them for them. And then who was the target audience for Apple when they released the iPhone? It was 13 to 15 year olds. Why? Because they are the ones who utilize the device, because we're the younger generations. But they also guarantees that they'll actually be bought, because that's what now those kids are going to nag their parents. And then because they're going to nag their parents, and they're going to use them, but then because they're nagging their parents and then they're going to use them, then the parents are going to end up using them as well. And then everybody's going to be doing them. And now what was once just like a little side thing that we had, right? Or you only had a phone at home, or heck, before even phones existed, now everybody has multiple devices. Now you got an Apple Watch that's telling you like your alarm, and it can tell you how many steps you took today and remind you of this, and you can talk on the phone, and you know what I'm saying? And you talk to Alexa. The other day I was really sad because I saw a clip of a baby who thought their name was Alexa because their parents or the people around them always calling Alexa. And I thought, this is really sad. Like, this kid actually thought their name was Alexa. How sad. Then we look at like the entertainment industry, right? Again, who's the targeting audience? The kids. So I am still shocked and bewildered at how young people were doing certain things. Like, so like even the Spice Girls, right? Because the Spice Girls, they are a big important part of the entertainment industry as it is today, because they are how we got the format for these talent competitions. Right? And because they needed a way, I've explained the whole thing before, but long and short of it is, because they didn't have a contract, and because the people who were training them didn't want to give them a contract, they ended up walking away, and then they ended up becoming huge, right? And so then now that's why the talent competitions work the way they do. So you've already contracted, they're basically getting you to, and if you guys haven't seen, I've got contracts playlist, we go through these contracts, you guys can go and check that out. They get you to sign to say that whatever you do, they own. But then you can only benefit from what they tell you to do. So they basically have already put all the ways for you to be able to control you as a talent, and hence why we see the sad tragedies of things like, well, I feel like we're on the end now of seeing how things figured out, that like decisions that were made like 50 years ago, right? In the last 50 years or so, because I really believe the 1970s, it was around that point that we had took some turn in this direction, right? And so now we see the things like from talent competitions, all these different things we've seen. Obviously, you know, those of you who are here, we've had a whole long story arc of Jesse Nelson, and like other people. We've seen Liam Payne is now passed away, and I keep thinking about how sad that is, that like he's so young and he's so talented. And again, if you look at how these people turn out in the groups, it's always the same thing in the entertainment industry, right? The people who get on with it and who continue to do operate in the industry as it is, blow up. So like Harry Styles. Some of them might fall a little bit to the background because they're not willing to get involved. Then you end up with like a Zayn Malik. And then you have others who end up just becoming, you know, a victim, complete victim, in my opinion, of the thing, which then we have Liam Payne, right? And so, yeah, so that was like where the model for this group thing even came from. And the Spice Girls, who are their main fans? It creeps me out to look at the videos. It's the freaking kids. It's the freaking children. It was children. People who are like my age and a bit older are the ones who remember the Spice Girls. They were kids. And I'm like, who was bringing the kids to these concerts? It's the same thing I said about Astroworld. Who's bringing the kids to these concerts? Like, I'm looking at everything and I'm like, who? Mr. Beast is another one. A lot of these online streamers, right? Why is it that all of a sudden all the celebrities are now moving over to hopping on people's streams? Why has streaming's become such a big thing? Who's the ones watching the streams? Who has the big audiences on the internet? How do people get a big audience on the internet? Through having children, because children are the ones who are going to just be there, just doing frolicking whatever. Right, so a lot of the big platforms, they're that big because they are tailored towards children. Right, like CoComelon, which is literally like what the closest thing you can get to being like sedated outside of the actual sedation itself. That show, which has got like billions of views, and it's just all these bright lights, and like kids are literally looking like they're under a trance in these things. So it's like it all goes back to that. And then it's the education system, right? Why is it that in Britain they've just allocated the Department for Education like 50 million or something to teaching languages, but we are struggling to do the basic maths and English. Grammar isn't even on the freaking curriculum, but you're still going to be assessed on it anyway. People can't even get the basics in maths. But now we're going to go and invest all that money into languages. Do you guys think that they care about these kids? Do you think anyone is caring? So I realized that it's actually the world that actually hates the kids. And it's because it's been made to be that way, because we've been convinced in all these ways to leave them unsupervised. Just like how I was saying to you guys about Cain and Abel, the thing that never occurred to me was like, well, where was Adam and Eve when Cain and Abel were out killing each other? Why was that even an option? You know what I mean? What kind of environment were we all in? And again, this isn't a video targeting parents. It's a video targeting adults. Do you understand what I'm saying? Adults, because we now have a shared responsibility as a so-called village, which we're not, which is part of the problem, right? To fix the issue together. So it's all these things in the education system. I'm thinking, what are the kids doing? And again, they're unsupervised. So like I said the other day in one of my videos, so what if I do whatever I do in my home, my whatever, and if I then go send my kid into these indoctrination camps, right? They're going to be around the other kids who are coming from God knows where and God knows what, with God knows what influence. And what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do, right? Because you can do your best. Like the other day, there was a story of this girl who grew up, I can't remember, she ended up getting pregnant really young when she was like 15 or 16. Yeah, I think she was 15 or 16. And ironically, she grew up with her dad only. And I was thinking to myself, because there's only so much you can do, because he was obviously frustrated about it, but I was thinking there's only so much you can do in your own home. At the end of the day, you've got to send your kids out into the world, right? And so it's like the Bible says, teach your child of the way he should go. When he's older, he will not depart from it. If you don't do that well, or alternatively, which is like a big thing, what we're having now, right? Let's be so freaking for real right now, right? So many of these parents, like I talk to through my job and throughout the years, they get frustrated that their kids want to do social media, their kids want to do this. I'm like, but be realistic here. You are off in the curse of Adam, breaking your back to barely be able to afford to buy eggs, and you're complaining about the price of eggs, and they're watching the sidemen throwing hundreds of eggs at each other in the Maldives in a video, because they started making videos online, making money. So at this point, the longer the time is going on with technology, it's actually more logical, I would say, and me being a logical thinker, and I know this is insane, I'm about to say, but it's the truth. It's actually more logical at this point to roll the dice with social media and try to get some kind of a following. And then if you have some, spend your money wisely and make some smart investments or whatever. It actually makes more sense to do that now than it does to follow the traditional path. Because the traditional path, again, you want your kid to go to university. You want your kid to do this, but you can't afford to pay for it. So what you're doing is you're encouraging them to go into debt. You're encouraging them to start their life out in debt. And again, when I try to give options of how we can avoid that, the older generations are stuck in their ways. So I'm like, you don't have to pay for your kid to go to university. They can get paid for, but because it's not the traditional method you're used to, and you just, even though it's in these same companies, the very companies you want your child to work at, you know what I'm saying? So now go into debt, now go into this world, go and study a degree, because in 3 years that job ain't going to be there anyway. They used to say that to us when I was at school, that the whatever job we have in mind that we're working towards is probably not going to exist by the time we graduate. And even if it does, where are we going to get the experience, right? Exactly. And so that's where we're at now again. And that's where we're at now. And again, who's screwed? It's the younger generations, because you know why? A lot of employers now, what they do, instead of asking, I was having this conversation with my friends, instead of asking, because this financial expert dude mentioned it, and I thought, you know what? He's hit the nail on the head. What they're doing now to screw everybody over is they put out jobs, right? As if like, oh, this is for, and I'm talking about, when I'm saying jobs, like I'm mainly thinking of jobs in STEM. So let's remember that as well, because I'm not just saying any and all job. I'm talking about like these qualified jobs, because I genuinely think I would have been better off staying at my job. I was working in Decathlon as a sports advisor. I would have been better off in life had I just stayed doing that, saved a little bit and made decisions there. I feel like it was going to be way smart, and that was like a retail job, right? But anyways, I just heard in my head Ariana Grande singing "You're having delusions of grandeur" from the song, because I'm thinking that's what it feels like now. It was delusions of grandeur, like going to do this like degree, like woohoo, and going to work in STEM, right? Whatever. Oh golly, where was I even going with this? My brain is off now, and I'm starting to think about this stupid space mission with Katy Perry being like slaying in space or whatever, like whatever, creating space in space, and I'm just like, here we go. Anyway, you guys get the gist, right? You're being set up. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that they just make the jobs. They'll be like jobs that should be for, say, somebody like me when I first graduate, like a graduate level job, right? But what they'll do is they'll actually make the job itself. They'll ask for extra experience, because then I can't get in the job for somebody my age, but then somebody who's older with experience, who they don't want to have to pay more, they can get that person to do that job, because then they're desperately looking for jobs as well. And so it's a win-win for the companies, and it's a lose-lose for us. And then again, like I said, guys, as the people, we just sit there and we just take it. We're just the absolute best slaves that you could possibly ask for. We're just so good at obeying the devil. Like, that's the thing. We're just so good at it. It's not like we're disobedient. It's like we're obedient when we want to be to whoever and whatever we want to be obedient to. You see what I'm saying? And so then again, we complain about things in the world. And I remember being a kid, right? And I remember thinking to myself, right? Because all these times I've been in all these, listening to all these adults talking throughout my life, right? And I used to think to myself, you know what? When I'm an adult, I'm never going to be the adult that just complains and does nothing. I remember thinking this as a kid, because it used to annoy me, because I'd be hearing people talking so passionately about politics, talking so passionately about this, about that. But then we just go back and we all just go and participate like the good little circus monkeys that we are. What's the freaking point? What was the point of having those conversations? I'd literally rather stare at the wall. How many times do I say that? So yeah, we send the kids off to school now. You go there, they go, and whatever happens at school, they might get bullied. This happened to one of my kids. This is one of the final straws I've had. I've been having a lot of final straws, as you can see. Last year, one of the kids, last year, one of my kids, basically their parents pulled her out of school because, welcome to 2025, she had been self-harming on TikTok, right? Why? Because she was being bullied. Some girls were really being horrific to her, right? And then again, you have the adult population. You should speak up and tell your teachers and tell someone. Well, she was, and she did, right? Because thank God she has a beautiful household, and her parents were really supportive. Like I said, they pulled her out, so like we ain't getting. In fact, they sold the house. I told you guys, they sold the house, and they've just moved. It's insane. So they could go to a different area, so they could be close to a different school. You see what I'm saying? So it's again. Anywho, and so so the school was like, oh, she can't be off school, she needs to be at school. But then at school, their solution was to keep her alone, like during lunchtimes and whatever, by herself. The other girls that were saying all these things were still bullying her. And by the way, they were bullying, I believe the main girl that was bullying her because she's really smart, she's really good. She was one of my favorite kids to work with, because she's really good at, she really likes maths, and she's really good at it. So I was thinking, we're gonna get you ahead, we're gonna get you to like sit your exams early, you know what I mean? That's how things started. In the end, we weren't even there in the end, because now, because all this other stuff is happening. So then the parents now, the government has more of a right, because now the parents are basically being told that they could get in trouble if they don't bring her to school. But then in bringing her to school, the school isn't doing enough to protect her from the bullies, and their only answer is for her to be the one isolated for her protection. Like, the heck is happening here? Like, this is what I'm saying. I don't think that none of this is making sense to me. Because like, why are we allowing ourselves? This is why I've been distressed, you guys. Even as I'm thinking about it now, I'm having feelings of despair as I say all of this, because I'm just realizing it's all going there. It's all going to the kids, even in the body, even in the church areas and wherever. It's always going, the target is always the kids. When does it always go wrong for people? When they get to about youth age, they start asking questions and those questions don't get answered. And I'm believing more and more that's because the people that are in the pulpit in place either are taking advantage of the vulnerability, because again, like I said, kids are vulnerable, so they're easy to take advantage of. Taking advantage of the vulnerability of the people, the things that people do and don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so then people just either end up leaving, or if they stay, you stay because you're just a blind follower, because that's what the devil wants us to be, as be a blind follower, and to just do things just because. Like I said, how many things we talk about in this day and age that have nothing to do with the Bible, but we're doing them and we're defending them with our whole life as Christians, right? And who is actually being neglected the most? And again, the kids in church, and this is something that really always bothered me, that the kids get treated like a nuisance. Like, oh no, the kids need to be quiet. Heck, maybe the Holy Spirit speaking through so-and-so. They saw the Lord more closely, more recently anyways. Maybe we should be the ones shutting up. To be honest with you, to be so freaking for real right now. And so, you know, at church, oh, we need somebody to like, oh, we got the place so that the adults can go and get what they need, but then we just shut off the kids. I'd rather be with the kids, bro. I'd rather be with the kids. And also, if we invested more in them at that point, then they'll be better set up in the long haul. They wouldn't be having all these things as adults. They wouldn't be we wouldn't all be finding the Lord like in our adulthood. Like, I'm like, why are people having to find? You should have found the Lord, because then when you find the Lord later, how much skeletons and damage and this and that have you got to bring with you? Too much. Because now you got to go back and figure out this trauma and that trauma and why you deal with this like this and then this like that. And then you have to even know you need the help, which means that as a kid, you're just screwed, because at this point, you just think everything is fine and normal and you're trusting everybody around you. And then by the time you realize what's wrong, you're an adult now, but in the same job and the same slavery to money that we have on here that you're using now to try and figure your life out, to try and get your life together, to try and pay for whatever you need to pay for, right? Now you need to go and also budget in for therapy, because also now there's nobody to talk to. Now we've had to outsource even just communication, because again, the devil has got so good at getting us to say, oh, you need an expert. And again, when I was in school, I was used to think, what makes any person more of an expert than anybody else? A piece of paper. And then who decided that piece of paper is delivering on the things being said that are being given? Because I don't know. So no, I don't like this idea even of therapy. I'll be honest. I think it's necessary now, because we've become such a bad society that we can't even be the loving people. Like, historically, you'd have a village, right? You'd have people around you who can give you advice, who are there for you in whatever moment. Different relationships suit different things, right? Now we all have access to each other. I can talk to every person on the planet through this here device, and yet people are isolated more than ever. How is it that we've extended our amount of our ability to have human interactions, and then we've also extended, we've now had to take back and find other ways? We have to outsource everything. We're just outsourcing. So now we outsource therapy. And then if people are like, oh, you should go to therapy. You should go to therapy. Like, not saying to me, people don't actually say that to me, believe it or not. I'm sure some people are thinking it. I remember that one time I made a video about that as well. But yeah, like, you should go to therapy. I feel like it's a cop-out. Can I be honest? I feel like I'm really saying everything I have to say at the moment. It actually feels nice. It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. It's a way to go, oh, that's not for me to have to, I don't have to deal. This is why I think love don't live here anymore. I don't believe love lives here anymore, right? Oh, you should go to therapy. Which to me sounds like, oh, I would rather, like, will you go and find somebody else to deal with this? You find somebody else, because I'm going to find a way that I can still feel good about myself without actually doing anything. So I'm going to tell you to go and seek out therapy. That's what we do now. Everything is just go and find this. You need to this. You need to that. You need to. And there's no accountability. So what I'm saying, even with the young generations, oh, you're an adult now. It's 11:50. You see, my birthday's coming up. I'm going to be 28. So it'll be 10 years since I was an adult. And I feel like but then at the same time, and this is why I think this is all a joke, my prefrontal lobe only fully developed to 25. So what was happening for those 7 years there? I want to know, between 18 and 25. It was that I was considered an adult. Why? Again, because it's convenience. Because then nobody has to be held accountable. Because then anything that I do, anything that I do in the world's just going to go, well, you're an adult now, right? Because at 11:59 seconds, right? The second before my birthday, I was a kid, and everybody else had to tell me what to do, and I had to just be obedient and listen and do whatever. And then 1 second passes, and now I'm all responsible completely for myself, completely and totally and utterly completely. I'm responsible for myself and anything and everything I could ever need in any way and shape and form is up to me. And somehow it's all just going to appear from inside of me out of nowhere. I'm just going to all of a sudden know, right? I'm just going to all of a sudden know how to do things like taxes and insurance and all this, which is insurance is the one that's bothering me at the moment. Tax is a big one that bothers me because I'm like, how are we really this is what I'm saying. You're out here defending paying your taxes. You're out here being obedient, going to pay taxes. Look, your kids are not even safe at school, and they're taking the money from your taxes to go invest in languages when your kid can't even get a freaking basic grades in maths and English. What's that about? Right? And then I'm the crazy one, and I'm the crazy conspiracy theorist. Right? I'm the one who's this is what I'm saying. The people, they love it. It's like Moses in the Bible. He's like coming in and he's like, this ain't it. And the people are like, oh no, let us just get back in. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. Because we are here. Yes, we're enslaved, but at least we know when we're going to eat. We know exactly where we're going to sleep. All the basics that were more than covered by the good Lord. I often wonder what life would have been like had Adam and Eve not done what they did, because everything that's bad about life is the result of that. Every single part of it, every single bad part of life, it goes back to that moment. Isn't that insane to think about? So I'm saying that the devil was a genius, and what did he do there? He created division. He had to create division. As soon as there's division between us and God and between man and woman, division was going to be there in every way, shape, and form. And now we have all these different race this, race that, generation this, generation that, millennial here, boomer, the black people versus the white people, or the white people versus the Asians, and the this and the, you know what I mean? Everybody's at odds now about everything. You know what I'm saying? Every little tiny thing. And I'm like, when are we gonna, can we? So I really think that was just the genius strategy of the Kingdom of Darkness. I really do. I really be getting everything off my chest right now at the moment. And I needed to, because I'm really in despair, you guys. I'm going through it. Because I'm like, I can't believe that this is actually what it is. Like, this is actually, this here, this is the planet. This is the society I was born into. That is depressing. That is depressing. It really is. And the only thing that makes this better is that I know that the blood of Jesus can cancel everything. So if it can cancel, this is why I said to the Lord, like, God, you know what? I'm ready. Let's get rid of we're walking out away from the curse of Adam, and we're walking away from the curse of Eve. Okay? And we're going to pray the blood of Jesus, right, over ourselves. In the same way that the Lord freed me from my period pains, in the same way I believe the Lord is going to free us over here in the winning team from having to live like the world. I really do believe that. I really believe that is the message. That is I feel like that's what this is what I was born to discover and to do here. But anyways, more on that in another video, because I feel like I'm going to separate it, because this video is quite long as well. And this one's a bit more crashy outy. That one, I think I'm going to be a bit more like, let's have hope. I'll try really hard, you guys. I hate being the optimist. I hate it. But I am, obviously, my faith is in God. So that's where shout out to my speaker. That's where my optimism is, because I'm like, all my hope in everything is in God. So that's why I can still sit here, I can still laugh, I can still kiki with you all, and I can still be jovial. That's why I'm not going around, upset, bringing my pain to everybody's doorstep, you know what I mean? Or being a horrible person, or bullying, or manipulating, because Jesus defeated death, right? And it's actually Good Friday. Is it Good Friday? I don't know. Again, biblical. I mean, that part actually is, to be in fairness. Anywho, let's go. I'm going to make another video, guys. I'm going to talk about the curse of Adam, because I keep saying I'm going to talk about the curse of Adam. We need to actually just talk about these curses, okay? Because we need to, this is what we're going to do, right? Everybody come together, right? This is the town meeting. This is what we should be doing as well, by the way. In terms of, we should have meeting in these town halls. It makes me sad when I see the town halls. I'm like, we should be meeting as communities. Like, I had this kind of thing the other day. I met, for this community thing. We should be meeting as communities and, talking about what's happening locally, because that would help a lot. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about how sad it is that I don't even talk to my neighbors anyway. It's not important in this video. We're going to talk about the curse of Adam and Eve in the next video. But yeah, sorry about I'm being disheveled, guys, but look, I'm going through it, okay? I'm doing my best. I'm trying really hard. I'm trying to dig real deep right now with the Lord and just really, because I feel like this was all the part of the plan, because we're going to win. Like, I don't think you guys understand. Winning, we are taking the win. I always say winning is for the taking. This life, we don't have to live like this. We don't have to. This is not our portion, okay? This isn't. There we go. It's even Marcus Rogers videos just popped up because I've got his post notifications on. Winning is for the taking, and we're taking it. So that's why we're doing all of this. I'm figuring all this stuff out so that, okay, now we know where we are, now we know what happened, and now we strategize. So there you go. Anyways, you guys, the Flags Game, stay to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.